right, here we go. Hello again, hobby hounds and painting pirates. Great to see everyone out there tonight. Hope you are having a Hope you're having a good week so far. Almost over. We've almost survived another one. So, hopefully you're gearing up for the weekend. So tomorrow night at 7, I will be streaming. I'll be reading some old fiction. Hey, Otto, how's it going? Good to see you. So, tomorrow I'll be reading an old pulp Zorro fiction for an hour. I do an hour for the Kathy Wapple Memorial Reading series that's happening over on Baelite 3D channel. So tune in for that if you want. And I'm going to be continuing working on these mecha models for Origins. So doing that tonight. Keeping on. Yesterday was awful. I worked on the floor again, in the floor, and I must have strained out because I had a headache rolling on me when I got home yesterday. I was gonna mow the lawn real quick because it doesn't take me long to mow the lawn, but I started having a headache coming on, and I laid down, and that was it for me. So tonight was a lot better. So anyhow, working on this troll is the nomenclature for this particular mecha. I did some highlighting the other night. As you can see, there is some wear and tear that I did on it years ago. So cool, awesome. Well, we'll have to get together. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Excellent. So, good deal, Otto. We'll see you this weekend then. So, anyway, I'm not really sure how much further I can take it. I've already done quite a bit of wear and tear on there, but I guess if I go with the sponge route, maybe I'll touch this up and make this a little bit more, subtle. So, anyhow, so maybe do that, clean that up a bit. Trying to make this stuff look really professional here, because Catalyst Games is not going to be at Origins this year. So we're going to have the only mechs. And we're only going to have the only mech game going. So have to really step things up and really make everything look good. So this is one in a series. So I did about 7 in the blue, 7 units, mechs, not like this one, other ones obviously, in blue, and I'm doing several in various camouflage patterns. So this one's kind of a deserty camouflage, and there's a couple of mecha that I've been working on that have animal camouflage patterns. So one's kind of a reverse tiger stripe with the dark on the bottom and the light on the top, and then the other one over here is which is really almost too big to get under the close cam. This one here, this I touched up a little bit, added some highlighting too. Added some highlights to it, and then added a little bit of wear and tear on it. Not too much because I really didn't want to go too far, but just around the foot pads and around the joints, a little on the nose and up on the top where it might have been taking some hits. So I got to paint the large weapon systems here. So we'll see how that turns out. A few little touch-ups yet to do on that, but for the most part, I think we could put that out on the table. Yeah, yeah, some that are gray. Yeah, probably will. I'm probably gonna do some green ones. Um, there's some tanks I want to do up in green actually. But of course, the table's gonna be. I think I'm gonna be doing a desert theme, so the green's really gonna stand out. But you know, if you're flying across the universe, and you drop down on the planet, your quick reaction force, you might not have time to paint your equipment before you drop onto the planet. So that's my excuse anyhow. But we'll see. We'll see what Brian wants to do, how he wants to go about that. But that's one thing, like with BattleTech, everybody paints their stuff so differently that when you show up for a game, your mecha are all over the place as far as colors go. So nobody's got the right color for the right environment. Which I guess if you're in a 60-foot tall giant walking robot, what good is camouflage for you anyhow? You know. You got Memorial Day off this year, Otto, or are you working Memorial Day again? Ten a.m. to 2 p.m. That's cool. Maybe we could do something in the evening. Of course, if you only have to go in at 10 a.m., we could do something Sunday evening too if you didn't have to show up too early at the job. But I guess that remains to be seen. We making plans like that, you know. Hard to get my big fat fingers in between into the places that needs to go. So just kind of go back over some of these places. Some of these kind of sketched out before. Painting styles have changed over the years. So mine not so much, but other people's and what's expected in the industry for looking good has changed a bit. So this was popular back in the early 2000s, the style that I had this painted in, which a lot of people would call the heavy metal style. A lot of the clean techniques from Games Workshop. But things are getting more dirty these days as far as techniques. A lot of people want to use more military modeling style to make things more realistic. So is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. It's just hard to keep up with some of those trends. I really hate to call them trends. They're styles, you know. Results, I guess, you know. Don't call non-metallic metal a trend or a technique. Call it a result. I like that. That was what one of the more well-known award-winning painters said a while back. I kind of like that, where you're not learning a technique, you're just going for a result. You already have the technique. The technique is just doing the work, you know. So dirty this up quite a bit here. See where that takes us. All right. Now we'll get a little bit of the old silver here. We'll do something fun. As for the color, the quantum ion ultraviolet cloaking device seems to have malfunctioned. That's why the ship's color isn't green on a jungle planet. That's believable. I'll go with that. Sure. Absolutely. I will go with that. Let's see. Where is that oily steel? Gunmetal gray. Oily steel. That's what I'm looking for. As for the color, I like that. That's great. That is great. I love it. That's right. When in doubt, technobabble. I gave you a +3 on that one. A little much on the sponge there. Don't want to touch it up quite so hard. Just use that tinny tin to kind of give some dimensional qualities to the wear and tear here. But I don't want to cover it all up all together. All right. Looks pretty good. Always go with the rule of three, so I'm using the tinny tin as a base coat just to give some depth before I put the more silvery sort of colors on. Just kind of keep it dark. So then I'm going to put some silver on here and really bring up that contrast some. That's the plan anyhow. We'll see how it works. All right, there are two different silvers here. I've got kind of a darker silver with the chainmail from Game Color, and I've got an actual silver here from Model Color by Vallejo. I don't know that I'm a big fan of the Vallejo silver, but let's go with the chainmail first. So maybe we'll do four. Maybe we'll do 4 layers of weathering instead of just 3. All right, start out down here. Do a little touch up here, a little touch up there. Just really little, just super lightweight. Just to kind of give it a little extra oomph, a little more brightness. Bring it up so that people can see it from 3-4 feet away. So that chainmail might still be just a little bit too dark, and as it's acrylic, it will darken up as it dries anyhow. So I may go ahead and just hit it with some actual silver. We'll see how that goes. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and actually lay down some silver here just to really punch it up a bit. Of course, the problem with Technobabble is you need to keep it consistent. So you got to remember what you said, right? Writers on Star Trek make up something, and they gotta go back and read what they wrote 3 weeks ago to make sure that everything's the same. That's pretty wacky. I mean, wacky in the nicest way. think that silver is going to really make it. I think going up one more level here with the silver, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all, kids. Problem with just going silver on a over straight up color is that it looks like somebody's just gone silver with straight up color. So it's always good to have a little bit of depth behind it, because otherwise it just looks like somebody went out there and just painted silver on something, which, ultimately we did, but in your universe here, it would look, you putting a little bit of depth between layers there helps sell the idea that it's been beaten up quite a bit. So hey, DD Minis, how you doing tonight? Good to see you, as usual. DD Minis, friend of the channel. Also is a prolific painter. Check out his Instagram and give him a follow, because sometimes he does stream. Always enjoy seeing one of the denizens of the pocket dimension doing their own thing. So all right, I think that's probably going to be it for this particular unit. So I've done some chipping. Maybe I'll throw a little chipping back here. Maybe just a little bit right there. So hopefully this week is treating you well. Of course, now tomorrow night I actually will be streaming as well. I have an hour that I'm going to be doing on the Kathy Wapple Memorial Literature Reading stream. And you can tune in here, or you can go to Baelite 3D channel. And I'm going to so that's the channel that it's going to be on, I believe. So I'm going to do it here. They're going to host it there, but for making donations to Jim for the expenses, they will have the links there for that. So as I understand it. But this has been a very fast week, I'll tell you what. It just didn't seem like it was gonna. It didn't seem slow at all. A lot of things going on. Monday, I wrote up a proposal for a little project. I felt bad counting a whole day on that one, so I only counted a half day because it took up most of my morning. Actually, took up my whole morning. So I didn't feel, with only 3 hours left in the day for going anywhere for work, basically just took my stuff down and handed it into the office. Kind of hard to do a whole day on that kind of thing, but I'll tell you, a lot of these LED drivers, which if you've got fluorescent bulbs, if you know what a ballast is that runs your fluorescent bulbs, well, 3D or 3D LED lamps have a driver. So I went on this service call, and I'm poking and prodding around, and I figure out that their drivers are bad. They've got an emergency driver and a main driver. So they had 5 bulbs, five of those that were out, and of course they're all foreign made. So I had to write up a proposal to get more time on that project and get the right parts, because it's not something that you just can order or that you're just going to have on the truck, you know. It was a really odd brand. So putting that together on Monday, it was kind of a short day, or it was an easy day. It wasn't physical. It wasn't a physically taxing day, but it's frustrating. I spent 4.5 hours looking at. I think I probably went to every website that had lighting. Finally found one that had a model that would work, because everything else was 8 watts, and I need an output of 18 watts at least. See, with LEDs, you can always go higher wattage on your drivers for a lower wattage bulb, and the bulbs are 15 watts. So a lot of those sites, they would have the right ballast or the right driver listed, but when you started looking at the specs on it, the problem with the specs was that they were all like 8 watts. Well, you can't drive a 15 watt bulb from an 8 watt driver. You can always exceed it, but you can meet it or you can exceed it, but you can't. If you go lower, it's just not going to work. Then Tuesday and yesterday, I was on the floor wiring up low voltage jacks in floor mounted boxes. That was awful. So floor mounted boxes, then I was stuck underneath the desk installing those under there, and I was either flat on the floor or on my knees all day, or crunched up in a little ball underneath the desk finishing those up. So I put a lot of strain on my neck and shoulders there. So I came home and promptly developed a headache. That wasn't fun. So I went to bed. Then I got up this morning and went to work. Got some little odds and ends finished up. So moving right along on that project. Supposed to be done by the end of the month. So that will be. We're making really good time on it. We just, looking at our punch list, we're almost done. I wouldn't mind a couple of slow weeks. I'm going to go back over this gunmetal spot here, kind of blend that back a little bit. That's a little overpowering. Of course, I can give it black wash too, so that'll be all right. No big deal there. Just want to kind of blend that silver in. I don't want it to be so overpowering. I'm going to go back and touch this up. This was just a way to paint it way back in the day. Didn't understand what that was, so there's a different way of painting that now. But that's pretty well done. Of course, that's the thing is, all these units were all painted before already. So what I'm doing is I'm going back through and cleaning up the paint jobs, adding to the paint jobs, bringing things up to a slightly more modern standard as I can. So that's the plan, man. And of course, I will be putting more pictures out on Instagram as soon as I'm able to. Just been so covered up with things. So there you have it. Maybe touch up some of that black on that cockpit. Now all the cockpits are black. Why are all the cockpits black, you say? Well, there's an in-universe reason. It's not glass. It's actually a carbonized carbon fiber or carbon steel sort of a thing, and it's festooned with camera lenses. So you don't actually have glass cockpits like you would say on some other mecha from other franchises, other IPs. They have glass cockpits like fighter jets and such. Well, these are more like tank cockpits, so they actually close up. So you're behind the metal, you're behind the actual armor of the vehicle. And much like the F-35, the idea is that you have a virtual lens in your helmet so that you can actually see everything going on outside the vehicle. So that's the fluff. I mean, now anybody that knows me, I'm not a big fluff player, generally speaking. I'm more of a game player than a fluff player. What the fluff does kind of does inform why you're playing the game, or give you a narrative to play inside of. I'm ambiguous when it comes to fluff. Like, okay, these units go with this faction here and like, which in this game, a lot of units, a lot of factions have access to the same stuff, or they've copied it. Piracy's a thing. So, all right, I'm gonna set that aside. I think we've got it. Now I'm gonna step away for just a moment, and I'm gonna get another unit to paint, because actually maybe I'll touch this other one up here real quick a little bit more. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I need to paint the weapons. Well, that's gonna have to be a spray paint thing. So I'm going to step away for just a moment, grab another unit to paint, and I'll be right back after these messages. We'll be right back. All right. Sorry I was gone so long. Did you miss me? That's right. CBS Saturday morning cartoons. So we're going to go on with some more of this, the animal prints. And gonna dress up these red tiger stripe tanks here. Get these kind of up and running, bring them up to standard. So, yeah, that was great. I loved that. I mean, those stick with you. Those of us of a particular age, right? So, I'm going to touch up these and make them look a little bit less streaky. See what I can do. CBD Saturday morning cartoons. Oh, CBD. Funny stuff that is. All right. Let's see. Well, there's already a layer of red on here, so I was thinking about going back over and using some of this Mephiston base red, which is if you're just going right over a dark color and you want to go right to a red or a yellow, these Citadel color base colors are great. I mean, they're heavy pigment. They flow well. A little bit of water added, to get them to flow right off the brush. But these are really, really great for the job. So THC free. That's right. This is a THC free channel. We observe all BATFE guidelines here. DEA, FBI, CIA, FSA, FFA, and all the other alphabet uh, agencies. All right, what do I want to do? I want to make this bright. I don't want to use that bright. That's a little too bright. Flat red's good. Flat red, maybe I will go bright. So if I hit flat red, and then I hit this holly berry, haha. No, fresh blood. That's a little too dark. That's a little too crimsony. So BVD, that's right. Nothing comes between me and my BVDs. Wasn't there a commercial with Jerry Orbach? Or maybe it was, there was some less than handsome sort of older actor from back in the day that had a BVD commercial. Who was that, man? It was I can see him I can see the gentleman in my mind's eye, but I just can't think of his name. Alright, let's see. Let's find something with a good tip. A little bit wider, a little thicker. Let's go with this. Let's go with this one. I think I'm going to put on my visor for this. This is going to be a little bit tedious, folks. But since I'm doing up these these animal looking ones, I'm going to go ahead and dress this stuff up because I like to do highlights on red. And highlights on red are easy using orange. Orange is a good way to go, or you could go with a lighter colored red. I like this amaranth red because it's reddish orangey. Again, as you've seen before, if you've been following the channel at all, that amaranth red skews a little bit more towards orange. So, and it also makes a nice base color if you want to go back over it to red. But amaranth red from Vallejo Model Color. If you need orange, go with that. Don't be deceived. It's not really red. It's more orangey red. So think like Dukes of Hazzard, General Lee color. So what I'm doing is I'm just going along the top and getting those. I'm not trying to follow it all the way through. And since I'm not doing an original paint job, I'm just touching up and cleaning up what's already here. I'm just trying to make it a little bolder, a little stronger. Sharpen it up a little bit. I'm not really trying to reinvent the wheel by any means, so I don't have to spend a lot of time focusing on it. This is an old resin cast unit. Of course, we don't use resin cast anymore. Everything's gone to 3D printing. So But this is where the mold actually parted right here along here. So it's not really, you couldn't really sell that, so we used it for the demo games, participation games. But it gives people something to put on the table, and people weren't really too fussy about the quality of models that we played with in our participation games over the years. They were just happy to play, I think. Pesky hardcore gamers. They play with a stick and a rock if you give them a chance. Paint a stick red and paint a stick blue, and you got two armies there. And then this looks good, but I'm going to redo that a little bit. That wear and tear, that damage there. I will use what's already been done as to inform what I'm doing. But that brightens up consistently well. And the thing is when this was painted, I think he used craft paints. And when I talk about breaking paints, you can see what's happening here. So, first of all, he was just using a single coat, which I know why he was doing that. It was just to get some paint on the model. But you can see where it streaks through because red is not a strong pigment generally. So you can see a lot of black showing through there, right? But also, if you thin it down too much, you will get that same effect. Like over here, this was just already too thin. So it pushes the pigment all over the place and leaves streaks behind. This spot right here, the paint was just a little bit too thin. You can actually feel it. It's got a relief to it, but that's okay. We'll not worry about that, as we're going to be scuffing things up and doing some battle damage and the like on here anyway. As it goes along. But already having that layer of red is actually helpful to me, because that means that I don't have to worry about doing two coats. The first coat's already done. And you can already see that that's a marked improvement from what was already there. And that's not to say that Brian's efforts were bad by any means. It was just a matter of time. Time, only had so much time to do it to begin with, so you can only do so much. So this is doing something really we kind of wanted to do years ago, is to really go back and dress up this set anyhow. So dress up the set as it is. But using slightly brighter colors to bring up that contrast. Not a bad thing. So bringing all this up to a little bit higher standard, especially since we're going to be the only company showcasing battle mechs. Well, battle mechs. For legal reasons, we do not have battle mechs. We have mecha. The proper name for our units is MSVs, or mobile strike vehicles. Of course, this is just a tank, but the mecha are actually called mobile strike vehicles. That's our IP correct, right? So Catalyst pulled out, so there's not going to be any BattleTech at well, unless somebody independent runs it. Actually, I think they are running some. Actually, they are running stuff, but they're they're not going to have any sales there. Their big sales booth is not going to be there. But they are going to have representatives running games of BattleTech, which is cool. But I know for a lot of sellers, miniatures sellers last year, it was not good. Impending Duff, over his channel, he was the only person giving miniatures painting advice last year. As far as there's a hobby, there's a hobby university, right? So different hobbyists, some of the more accomplished ones will put on classes. Well, he was the only one there last year that put any classes on. So he's bringing some people down this year, some well-known people, in fact. Useless Wizard is coming, Ryan. So let me give Useless Wizard a shout out. So here is a shout. Hold on. Out. At Useless Wizard. Oh, yes, it does. All right, so Useless Wizard, he's going to be at Origins, and I believe he is going to be showcasing how to paint non-metallic metal. And he does some incredible work with non-metallic metals. And for those of you who don't know, if you're just new to the hobby or joining here for moral support, thank you very much. But so let me explain what non-metallic metals is. So non-metallic metal is when you paint something that's supposed to be metal, say armor or a sword or something else, some gear on a figure. And this is actually a two-dimensional, this is what they do in like oil paintings and illustration. So they will use a grayscale, gray to black, or if they're doing gold, it'll be yellows and browns. Silvers and steel will be, blacks to grays and whites. And so they actually paint it to where it will look like metal, but instead of using a metallic color, like I use metallic colors, right? And the metallic color is basically a metal flake, usually it's mica, suspended in the media, and it has basically they get their coloring from ink. So it's ink, acrylic medium, water, and some sort of flake, usually mica. Sometimes aluminum. But they just use flake like that and gives, so you actually have true metallic, really, really metal look, which is a good way to do it one time. You just slap it on there. Non-metallic metals is a little bit more of a process. It's something that I am not really well versed in. I've actually never tried it, quite honestly. Well, I won't say never. I won't say never. Never is a big word. One of my very first figures was an orc chieftain. And I painted his... No, it wasn't the orc chieftain. It was the rat man. It was a Ralpartha rat man. And I painted his sword in gray scale because I didn't have any metallics. I figured that the gray would make it look dull and worn, like, he wasn't taking good care of it. But, I didn't know anything when I was a kid. But anyhow, non-metallic metals is usually used in two-dimensional art to give that metallic look without using metallic paints. There's the TLDR version for you. But I think it's ironic when you use a two-dimensional technique on a three-dimensional object, which it looks really good in pictures because, again, you're transferring. So in pictures, a picture is a two-dimensional illustration, right? So it's two-dimensional. When you look at it on a computer screen or in a magazine or something. So non-metallic metals give you a lot of control for pictures. Because metallic paint tends to scatter light in all sorts of directions that you don't want it to go. So I think it's funny to have a two-dimensional painting method on a three-dimensional object to make your two-dimensional picture of the three-dimensional object look better. It's just ironic. It's funny. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying it's a bad technique. It's not a bad result. It is a little bit so there's some people that can do it very quickly. Eric Swinson, for one, he does it incredibly fast. And as you get better with it, you will get faster. That's just the nature of the beast. So, non-metallic stuff is really good. For those that do it well. And some are very quick with it. But it is a bit of a process, and there's definitely a learning curve. Definitely a pretty harsh learning curve to get good at non-metallic metals. My hat is off to those who learn it and do it well. So I'm just really cleaning up all this streakiness on this red. And adding some streakiness of my own, evidently. You'll have that. All right. Oh, a little stretchy stretch here. So I'm going over some of the battle damage that he's already painted in. But I'm leaving enough of it to inform my attack. Of course, tomorrow evening I'll be doing a fiction reading. I haven't decided quite exactly what I am going to be reading, but it is the Kathy Wapple memorial reading. As she used to have a channel where she would read stories, different works of fiction, old pulp science fiction, some Lovecraft from time to time, a little H.G. Wells, a little Robert Howard, a little Conan, and various things like that. So all proceeds will go to Jim Wapple to help cover some of the incurred costs. And that will be hosted on Baylight 3D's channel, I believe. So I'll be doing it here, so you could tune in here if you wanted to. But well, I do know a website that they have to take up, donations. But all the links will be there at that other channel. Because I am technologically inept. So I don't really know how to put it up in the as a lower third, I don't really have time to learn right offhand. So since Kathy used to read on Friday nights, we're going to do that. It's going to be all day long, actually, starting at, I think, 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, something like that. Blades 81 is going to be one of the readers. I think she comes on before I do. Maybe 2 hours before I do. I'm at 7 o'clock again, as usual. So I'm thinking of a Zorro story that I found. Most of those old stories like that are public domain, even though you find them in a book that has copyright on it. Excuse me. You find them in a book and the book has copyright on it, but as far as those stories go, they have copyright to that printing of it, but as far as it goes, anybody else wants to, they can do things with it because those are in the public domain. A lot of them. That's why you'll find those collections. Book companies love to have those collections made up because they can. It's 100% profit almost. Nobody's estate gets, very few of those writers from back then had estates. So, oh, thank you. Thank you. Had estates, so to pass on. So nobody was looking out for it. Those just got orphaned, those stories, and then somebody started publishing them again. And no royalties to go to anybody, you know. I'm kind of torn between an old Raphael Sabatini story and a Zorro story. But Raphael Sabatini was the gentleman who wrote Captain Blood, about a physician named, his last name was Blood, who was wrongly accused of several things during an Irish uprising back in the early 1700s. They sent him to be a slave, because that's what you did with the Irish back at that time, is you sent them to be slaves. They were really badly treated. And so he slipped out of being a slave and went pirate. He was also a physician, so captain and ship's doctor all at once, right? What an awful lot of hats to wear. But I think I'm going to go with the Zorro story. I don't think I can finish the whole story in the hour. I'll do as much as I have time for. All right. Looking good, looking good. Oh, I mowed the lawn tonight when I got home. So, again, allergy season, allergy season, allergy season. It's like, what was that from the 101 Dalmatians cartoon years ago? Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. She's a lady devil, that Cruella de Vil. Come and get me, Mickey Mouse. Come and get me. I will. So yeah, that's, you can definitely see the difference between something like that and then where I've gone back and filled in. Still is a little powerful showing through where it was really, where the black was really coming through, but it's much better at this point. Weird hairs and dust all over the place on these things. So what happens when they're stuck away in storage for, last time they were out for play, I think was 2018 Gen Con, maybe 2018 Gen Con, because 2019, maybe 2019 Gen Con. No, 2019 was 2018 Gen Con. Yeah, the last time these saw daylight was 2018 Gen Con, and they haven't been out to play since. Dee 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 dee. Da dee da 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 da. Dee da da da. I really need to learn how to get music on my channel. On the other hand, the quiet, stripped down, chillaxed sort of a stream is also appreciated by some people, as I've heard. They enjoy that, where it's not all sorts of noise and whistles and bells and, you know. Also, Ed from Monster Den Minis just broke the 2,000 followers mark. I don't know how many subscribers he's got, but he's got 2,000 followers now, so that's quite a quite an accomplishment. We're just struggling to get to 200 here. You know, can't even bribe him with a charity stream. You know, I've been up to 182 and then down to 178 and then back up to 180, 181, 179. People drop in, drop off, and that's, that's okay. I mean, it's really no big deal, quite honestly. It's more the numbers thing is more of a health of the channel kind of thing, you know. Of course, if you miss a couple of streams in a row, that can have an effect. But part of the problem is Twitch just does not have an aggressive algorithm for pushing stuff. You know, on YouTube, if you are regular, the algorithm likes regularity. Even though it might not like a lot of other things, it still does reward regularity. But not Twitch. No, who knows what it's. I mean, it's algorithm seems to be chaotic neutral. You know, it just does whatever it wants to do any old day, whenever it feels like it. So there's no way to game the algorithm. And I really probably should be up in my social media game, but I mean, I don't really know what to do other than to post up pictures of what I'm working on. Talk about it. I don't know. Don't really know how to make things grow, how to make things bigger. It'd be nice, but that's probably not ever going to happen. If I had 200 by the end of the year, I'd be happy. 250, I would be ecstatic. T-Cat made 300 in I don't know, I think she's been streaming for 3 months? 4 months? Less than a year. So whatever mojo she's got, I'd like to have some of it. she's just doing a bang up job, you know. So congratulations to T-Cat for breaking 300 in very short order. Just a couple of months ago, she was at 200. So but I digress. Don't do it for the follows. Do it for the lulls, you know. Do it because you want to. Do it because it's fun. You know, I mean, I could sit here and paint by myself, listen to music, or put on some old B movie from 1950s or something and listen to it, or more likely be distracted by it. Or I can inflict my opinions about painting and the hobby on my neighbors by streaming myself. Might as well, right? Who else do I have to bother? Alright. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to have to do some touch-ups on that still. I'm going to brighten those up. Get some edge highlighting on that. And where did I put the turret for that tank? Right here. Here it is. Alright. Alright, take a breather here. Whew. Thank you, Otto. I try to make it nice. Tonight, my drink of choice is non-alcoholic Upside Dawn Golden IPA from Athletic Brewing Company. Very clean, very crisp taste. Citrusy. And non-alcoholic. So I've taken to a lot more non-alcoholic beers lately. I find I like them. Even the Guinness is pretty good. Guinness non-alcoholic. Let's see, does this peel off? This peels off. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll take that off. Do that separately. Dee dee dee. Dee 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 dee. Of course, if you want to avoid commercials, you can use your Amazon account to subscribe for free, no charge to you. Get some of those Bezos bucks going. Make your Amazon account work. Link your Amazon account to your Twitch account through Amazon Gaming. And it will give you a free month. In fact, it's free all the time. You just have to keep on re-upping with it. That's the only thing. It does take a little maintenance. But you can also switch it around to different channels you might like to watch each month. So, one channel a month for free with your Twitch, your Amazon account. All right, looking good. Looking good if I have to say so myself. So that's bringing up those stripes really nicely. Of course, the thing about camouflage is the whole point is to distort and hide the shape of things, break up the silhouette. So shape, shine, silhouette, and sound are your 4 S's for camouflage. Of course, these are minis, so sound's not so much of a big deal. But shape, shine, that's why you paint it in flats, flat colors. Even in real life, military vehicles are painted in flat colors so they don't shine, they don't reflect. You know, they don't have a glossy Ferrari red or McLaren blue, you know. That's why you don't see tanks in Bel Air green, Bel Air blue. So what happens is when you put camouflage on something, it tends to flatten out all the shapes and the silhouette of what you're camouflaging. Which is a problem for miniatures because they are going to be looked at from 3 or 4 feet away, between 2 and 4 feet away, really. Especially in a diorama like this. So even though I'm flattening out the shapes, I have to go back, and that's why we highlight things so that it actually brings out the contrast between surfaces. Without that, it just gets lost. I don't mean necessarily you would lose the figure on the table, or the model would get lost, but it would look blah and bland, and you wouldn't see any kind of all this interesting detailing here, even though this is a hand sculpted model, hand sculpted and resin cast. It does still have details on here. So like these little steps in this ring, the ring mounting here, these panels, these blowout panels here. Those are all surfaces or edges that could use a highlight. And when you highlight your edges, you give back some of that dimensionality that flat paint job takes away. So you're bringing back that dimensionality and giving people something to look at. In theory, anyway. Bum ba-dum, bum ba-dum, bum ba-dum. Gotta remember to breathe. Sometimes I get so focused in on things I stop breathing. Otto knows that very well. We have done lightsaber dueling, and it's hard to remember to breathe sometimes. He's got one up on me. He's formerly trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he knows his breath control. his fighting breath control a little bit better than I do. A lot better, actually. That's one thing that I do when I get concentrating on things. I tend to hold my breath. They say don't hold your breath. This is what they're talking about. All right. All right, all right, all right. Just painting away here. Painting away again in the pocket dimension. Some folks say there's got to be a better way. But here I am, painting away in the pocket dimension. Apologies to Jimmy Buffett. I'm getting out of frame here. Excuse me. I started leaning back a little bit in my chair here. For whatever reason. Probably because I'm doing such a large area here, I don't need to be right up on it. So. Do 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 do. So I'm just following what was already here. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel on. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel on these paint schemes. I'm just going to enhance what's here already. Just make it look brighter and more look at me. Because since Catalyst isn't going to be at Origins, we are. I guess we've got people's undivided attention as far as giant fighting robots go. Combined arms, giant fighting robots, tanks, etc. Oh, little stretchy stretch. An unscheduled stretch. Oh, which after working on being scrunched up all yesterday and the day before, and sitting here this evening, getting hard on old man. Little stretchy stretch. Let's get some more paint on this palette. I'm using what am I using? Is this what I'm using? Reaper 0967 Holly Berry. Is that what I'm using? I guess that's what I'm using. Just painting right up here. All these little bits and bobs, drips and drabs, so to speak, as they say. They say that people don't like it when you're not talking, when they pop into the stream. Some people don't like it when they get stuck behind an ad on the opening roll. I get that. I guess there's always somebody that doesn't like something. Can't please all the people all the time. But if you all are here, it means you want to be here, and I thank you for being here in the audience, hanging out, painting along. Hopefully you're working on something at home. Maybe you're painting. If you're not painting, maybe you're just reading a little bit or something. I don't know. Plunking away on a guitar, maybe. I don't know. You can do anything you want. But I'm glad you're here with me, keeping me company. Hopefully I'm a good guest in your house. Some folks say I'm just checking for any place where it looks like I could throw a little bit more on just to get rid of any streakiness. Of course, I'm going to mix in a little, I'm going to go with a little bit of that amaranth red just to pick it up just a little bit. Maybe mix it in. Alright, so I think I can set that aside for the time being. So we put this on that just to keep them together here. So we got this so far. Just like that. Set that aside, and we'll do the missile rack next. So this is going to be this is the bottom because it's not got a good coverage. So the top is going to be this. So here's the top. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to just hit all that red, all the tiger striping on the red. One of these days I need to reconfigure my whole setup here. Just redo everything. But I can't do it anytime soon as I am under the gun to get all this stuff done by the third weekend of June. Because we didn't know we had a lot of space to work with until just a few weeks ago, about the middle of April. When there were a couple other vendors that pulled out of Origins, which that's never a good sign. You got people pulling out. I don't know if they pulled out or if they just couldn't make it. I don't know which. Catalyst did pull out though. Of course, I don't know if they pulled out or if they just decided last year that they weren't going to come and they're just now telling people about it. But yeah, there's miniatures has been kind of languishing over the last few years. Of course, I say last few years since 2018. We really didn't have much in the way of that going on. 2018 was the last physical one we had before, what, 2 years ago now? Maybe? 20, what is it, 22? 22, 23, 22, I think. 22? Last year was 22. This year is 23. So I went to that one. So 21. 21 was the first one we had back after COVID. I didn't go to that one. So So one thing about doing tiger stripe camouflage, and really any camouflage, any surface that it goes over and anywhere it bends and crosses and changes elevation on the model, you need to continue that line, or else it will just look like somebody put it together in a toy factory. So keep those lines constant and together. Follow over your surfaces correctly. Alright, I'm going to set that aside and let that dry before I do anything else to it. Alright, so the only thing left to do is to go back over, and I think I'm going to touch up some of the black a little bit more. It's got a lot of little scratches in it already, and then I'm going to go and weather it. So the black's going to get touched up, weathering's going to get worked on some. This missile rack is going to get repainted so it doesn't blend so badly. You know, it just looks streaky and blobby and, you know, just very messy. So a lot of work to do on that yet. So paint was very thickly applied. Do a wash. Paint it yellow, do a wash. Yellow really stands out. Goodness gracious, land sakes. And look, what do I have here but another tank. Tank, 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 tank. Tank, tank, tank. Tank, 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 tank. So, we'll do the same thing. Now these grills and grids here, that's going to be that's really special. This gun sight camera here, I'd like to do something other than just red there, so that needs to be addressed. I think that looks like it needs to be a little more special. So special, so special. I'm going to give it some of my attention. Alright. I guess I'm just not as good a singer as Chrissy Hind. So we are just about at the 2-hour mark here. 2 hours is a good place to take a little bio break. So we will take a bio break. So I'm doing all the red right now because I have these 3 units. So these 2 smaller tanks and the larger tank. So to dress those up and get them up to speed, make them look all together. And since I've got let's see what we got here. Since I've got leopards over here and tigers up in the tiger striped one that I did the other night, I've got to put to store these while I'm working on them. I put them in the display cabinet. So Just got to make sure to take them out of the display cabinet and put them in the carry-all to take them back to Sea Dog Game Studios. So, 2-hour mark. Let's go ahead and take a bio break. And we'll be back in just a few minutes.